Answers with Dr. Reju is a platform where we take a more in-depth and intentional look into various life issues and bring clarification so we can navigate our way through with knowledge. Join us on Patrice Radio as we take this journey to discovery. Do remember to follow, like, and engage us on Instagram at Patrice_radio and also on YouTube via Patrice Radio Live. Thank you.
Better Nigeria. Is it a myth or do we keep hoping?
Nigeria is a highly religious country. How come corruption thrives?
Why is adoption not encouraged in Nigeria?
Is there a future for the Nigerian youth?
Being rich and famous, is that the only drive to be an artist?
What makes a great nation? Is it the leaders? What about the people?
This is Answers with Dr. Reju. Hi, my name is Onari. And this is Answers with Dr. Reju, where critical life issues are clarified. This evening I have in the studio Obi Brown. You're welcome today. Obi just gave me the peace sign. The rest of us can't see you. I mean, the people out there, you're welcome. Mr. Isaac Omoni.
Thank you.
It's good to have you. And Dr. Reju, it's good to have you. And the peace sign again, okay?
All right.
World peace, everybody. Okay. Yeah, world peace. Well, this episode is the debut of our series on the family. But before we proceed with our questions, let's take a moment and listen to a beautiful prose on the family.
The family, the start, nature's masterpiece, the very beginning of every great man and woman, vilified or venerated. Call it a clan, call it a network, call it a tribe, call it a family. Whatever you call it, whoever you are, you belong to one. In the words of Michael J. Fox, family is not an important thing. It's everything.
Long has it been said that the family is the smallest unit of society, but we hardly stop to ponder the significance of this truth. Being the smallest unit of our social harmony means that is where most of our formative behaviors and characters are entrenched.
The family is a place of acceptance, nurture and training. The statement, "Show me your friends and I'll tell you who you are," is better said this way: show me your family and I'll know who you are.
Political bodies, corporate entities, religious faith groups, and even countries who want to project a deep sense of harmony among their constituents call themselves family. When that is done, it means any issue will be treated with certain values, overseeing every decision taken, which must not be disputed against. No one will contest the rulership of those values.
In a world full of turmoil, societal ills and uncertainty, the biological family is the one place values are enshrined and implanted in every individual. If impeccable character and attributes are to be possessed of an individual, there must be a family in the plan to make that a reality. Always bear in mind that healthy individuals within healthy communities are the core of healthy societies. Mother Teresa once asked a rhetoric,
What can you do to promote world peace?
Go home and love your family.
Okay, today we are going to, let's just get straight to the question, Dr. Reju. A renowned psychologist, Dr. James Dobson, once said that the family is the cornerstone of society. Now, is this true? And then how so?
Well, Dr. Dobson can't be more right, that the family is the cornerstone, is the foundation, is the life source of society. And everything that happens in society, good, bad, ugly, actually issues forth from the family. It is so, and more so, very so, for the fact that if society is made up of people, and people, come into this world through families, then, it goes without saying that, that the family is a cornerstone. Now, it is not just about families producing children. Family is the actual primary contact point for all manner of learning in terms of education, especially the informal, which is most profound,
Yeah.
in terms of the basics of relationship, the values that makes a well-rounded human being in terms of respect, in terms of discipline, in terms of those basic things that humans learn first. They are actually learned, or maybe unfortunately so supposed now, which is very tragic, interjection here into this whole sentence here. The family, once something is correctly set in the family, it can go forever. It will be correct. It's like the foundation of a home. If the foundation is defective, whatever you put on it, regardless of how good, if the foundation is not good, then whatever you build on that kind of foundation is it's not going to be good. So it needs to be said again and again that if society is going right, the family is doing something right. If society is going the wrong way, if it is going off on a tangent, something has gone wrong foundationally. And that's why I would totally agree with Dr. Dobson that the family is the cornerstone. It's like the foundation upon which every other thing in society is built.
All right. Obi Brown.
Yeah, Dr. Reju. So, if we look at the family now, can we say it has influenced societal transformation? How does it influence societal transformation?
The family has, but it doesn't, because when you use the word transformation has a basic assumption. It's the assumption of something that's positive. So maybe that question should have been whether it has been or whether it has not. So
maybe in what ways?
That will bother now on appraising the family. But if we look at how society is panning out, if we all agree that the way society is going, where's that is gravitating towards, if many of us, if the general consensus is that society is not panning out the way, according to expectation, according to general expectation, it basically goes to say that maybe something has gone wrong with the family if we say it's the cornerstone. The family has all the wherewithal, the potential. In fact, it's, the family is actually at the forefront in the pecking order of hope for transformation, hope for better life, hope for a society where there is general well-being. The family actually has all that it takes. But the moment the family is no longer operating or expressing according to its design or its intended design, then there's no way that society will see the effects. So if we say society is being transformed, we need to credit the family. If we say the society is not being transformed, we need to indict the family. Because for everyone out there in respective positions, either economically, socially, education, whichever sector of society that you find people, they come from a family. And there's a way that they have been taught, they've been groomed, they've been raised by that family. That it affects the way they serve the interests of other people, the way they function in their offices. So the family is actually the major transforming agent in any society. So you either credit the family if society is, is turning out well, or you indict the family setup. If, in our culture, if somebody misbehaves outside, they send a message back home to your parents that you have not been, they won't indict your teachers. They won't indict your friends, especially in our African setting. We all have to understand that where to improve on if things are not really the way they should be is the family.
If society is not being as it should, in the case of that indictment, we should go back to the family.
Absolutely.
Okay.
If you see, again, something that's wrong with a particular structure, you want to check what the structure is built upon. That's always where the problem comes from. Whatever kind of culture we are, we respect, or traditions that we respect, that we hold maybe sacred, we learned it from the family. Let's talk about the traditional family now, where you have mother, father, uncle, or whatever. Especially in our own context, we need to add all that. There's really, in the original African context, there's nothing called the nuclear family. we've always had the extended family. I mean, if society is going to turn out well, we need to reposition the family to its proper place. We need to call the major players in the family, father, mother, uncle, elders, and children, everything, for them to be alive to their responsibilities.
Okay.
That's the way I will address that question.
All right.
Thank you.
Mr.
It's a very good
Almoni.
question. Yeah.
Well, Dr. Reju, and if I may ask this, what is the structure of a family? And how does this structure help in the promotion of a right thinking or a forward-moving nation?
Structure of a family. Now let's look at our basic African context, African Nigerian context, right? Because we are trying to address this question now in the midst of a pluralized, freedom-driven, liberation-seeking kind of world. But let's bring it home, because if the home front is not properly placed, things that come to us will not know which one to accept, which one to discard, which one to resist. So if we're going to define the structure of family, we need to start from home. In the African Nigerian setting, a normal, a typical, maybe I should put it that way, a typical family is father, mother, and children. Father, mother, and children. And father, mother being the parents, the children being the offsprings in that particular, kind of relationship, and each one having his own roles. The father, the mother, the parent, they have that joint leadership. And fine, we know that, okay, the man is is the ultimate leader and all this. But for me, it's supposed to be a joint leadership, and they sort of set the standards. They set the boundaries for the children. They create, maybe I'll put it that way, they create the environment for the well upbringing of their kids, so that with the intention, with the ultimate end of those kids having, been a good reflection of themselves. That is the parents. The parents want those kids to go out and, send back a good report, that they want the kids to be like them. They want, because the parents are the first teacher. Kids come with a heart like a blank sheet of paper. The parents are the one with the awesome opportunity of writing things which are indelible upon those hearts. Children naturally see their parents as the most powerful, as the most, the wisest, the most influential people in the world. So they naturally respect the parents' views. Every child naturally wants to be like their parents. So there's in that traditional family structure, there is an agreement, a willing parent that wants to teach, and a willing children who wants to learn from their parents. Maybe as we go on, we begin to look at some factors that might cause like a disconnect. But that is the traditional family structure. Children are being taught with the mind that these kids are going to be sent to the larger society, right? And they want to be sent so that they become value added, not a problem to society.
Okay.
So it's like that. If all families will be alive to these responsibilities, then society becomes better for it. Yeah.
So, can we say then that the values and norms we have in society have been primarily influenced by family?
Absolutely.
Values?
Absolutely.
And how can we sort of sustain this, promote it some more?
It's a question of, number one, those who lead the family settings, now the parents, they need to be alive to that awesome responsibility. That whatever I put in this child's heart, it has the potential to affect, millions of people. Like I always tell some parents that you don't know who is under your roof. It might be the president of a bank tomorrow. It might be the president of a nation tomorrow. It might be the representative of this nation in the United Nations tomorrow. If we have that big picture in mind, while we talk to that little boy, that little girl, the way we do this will change. So how to sustain that is that families need, because there is a whole structure in the world right now that seeks to erode, the place of the family. It seeks to undermine the place of the family. And, tragically, the young ones are actually buying into that. And that's dangerous for society. So in sustaining it, parents need to know, constantly aware of this awesome responsibility. Nature bestows that authority on them, that responsibility on them, that assignment on them. So it's because I was chatting with a young girl some years back. She said that every child comes into a point in their growth process that season of their lives, is called parent hating season. That's when they hate parents.
Yeah.
I'll blame both. I won't place any blame on society. Because if the parents they've done something that is solid, that's profound to these kids, they've shown love, they've shown discipline in love, your child sees you angry, sees you loving, has a kind of a robust and well-balanced kind of mentoring, kind of upbringing. I don't think that season will ever come. Because society will always tell the child, at this time you are grown up. You don't need to listen to your parents again. What I've come to understand, growing up with my own parents, who happens to be a teacher, parents, natural parents, never believe their kids have grown. They never believe. They always, and I agree. I always believe that regardless of how old you are, there is still something, right, that you can learn from your parents. Nobody knows you like your parents. Nobody brings you into your real self, like the home front. So the moment society begins to undermine that, it's a recipe for chaos. By the time the effect of that undermining comes, everybody will be a victim. Like I said in the course of this program, we might come to that point where we begin to identify some factors that might cause that disconnect between parents and their kids. But for now, how that is sustained, the onus rests on the parents to making sure that this is my responsibility. Nature bestowed this on me. If I lose it, we might be losing a whole generation.
Yeah, and I like what you said about, writing on the heart. There's this story about Kate Middleton.
Kate Middleton, that's the princess?
Yeah, the Duchess of Cambridge. That her mother, and this was actually a gossip, another lady was gossiping to another lady saying that she always brought them up as if, she was preparing them for the palace or something.
Whoa.
And this lady was saying it in beef to the other lady, that she always brought them up as in all high and mighty and everything. And I don't think Kate's mother was actually saying, okay, eventually she'll marry a prince. She wasn't
marry a prince.
Yeah, I think she was just, in her own right, passing values, and proper upbringing to her child. And eventually it turned out to be what it is now. So
absolutely.
I really appreciate
Exactly. Yeah, and to me, I just believe that, for example, in Nigeria, we don't have any kind of strong monarchy. But kingship, rulership, it's not just having a crown on your head. Every human being is wired, to be royal. I think we need to have a whole session where we talk about how to raise the female gender, especially the female folk. A lot depends on the female folk. If you see any marriage, it's because a woman said yes. All the man can do is to make a proposal. A proposal doesn't translate into a union. Somebody has to say yes. The person that says yes is critical. She must know what she's saying yes to. So taking that point is that the way you raise a female in a family is different from the way you raise a male. The female must have that sense, that high sense of worth. Not pride, but a sense of worth. The consciousness of her importance. That being a female, she's delicate. She's someone that needs to be handled with care. And you don't want to offer that kind of a wonderful creature. So just one rabble rouser somewhere.
Yeah.
So that's very important. That girly kind of thing, that royal kind of input has to be there. It doesn't mean that you are raising somebody, for every man wants to marry to a queen-like kind of person.
Absolutely.
All right.
Yeah.
Dr. Reju, I've mentioned something, marry.
Oh, okay.
Up until now, we're talking about family.
Okay, yeah. Okay.
I say that,
I still want us to stay with family if you guys still want to stay with it. But you see, you can't talk about family without talking about marriage, because it's marriage that actually give rise
institutes the family.
The traditional well, some people may call it conservative right-wing view. Now, I mean, because
I don't know what right. Let me correct that. Conservative right-wing view. I don't think I, as a person, and by virtue of this program, we will not subscribe to that. You know, we want to look for that which is authentic, which is correct, which is accurate. So whatever we say here, you know, to all intents and purposes, we're not trying to project one side of a coin. We're looking at standards here.
Okay.
We're looking at what it should be. Now, if that conforms with the right wing or the left wing or the center wing, fine. That means the right is right, the left is right, and the center is right. So we don't want to be classified here. We're just looking for what is. Because there is a standard in every society. White, black, brown, yellow. Yeah. There is a standard. So these principles are universal.
Right. Okay. Yeah. Because I guess you just answered my question, because I wanted to talk about the increase of what they refer to as civil unions or cohabitations or things like that, or single parenting, you know, in our context, and how they stand up to the role of family, you know, in societal transformation. Yeah. But I guess it just
because you know there are some things that cannot be redefined, even if you think you have successfully done so. Is somebody looking at Onari and try to say Onari is a boy, and then you write a fantastic book, you even do a research and you draw your conclusion that Onari is a boy, and millions of people believe it. It doesn't make it right. You're still wrong, because there is a fact, there's an unchangeable reality that Onari is female, right? That's what people are trying to do. Now, you mentioned a particular one there, which is single parenting. Sometimes that happens out of circumstances beyond our control. One party dies, right? And then a particular person has to raise the child. Or, you know, maybe just somebody who, which is situational, circumstantial, maybe a woman, for instance, didn't marry. And you don't have the desire to raise a child and desire to adopt. In that kind of a situation, you still have a family. Because family, like us, especially in our own context, family it might start with man, woman, children. But, you know, our own is more communal. Whatever that child needs, especially if that woman who has just done the adoption is so wise and really understands or appreciates the enormity of that responsibility, there's some doors she's going to open for those streams of manhood to flow into the child, into that child's life. For what she lacks, she can access it somewhere else, right? So this is very important. But the point you made is something that we really have to make our time to address. The world system today, they are trying to redefine things that cannot be redefined. And we are all going to, bear the brunt of it. We are going to suffer for it, So we see a lot of social menace, scourge, delinquency, and all those kind of things. And we're wondering, social research won't do it. Let's get back to where we got it wrong. It's the family.
Obi, you were saying.
Yeah, Dr. Reju was giving us a very fantastic answer to where I started about different views, civil unions, single parenting, polyganism,
polygamy, polygamy, polyandry, and all those kinds. Yeah.
At the beginning of this particular program, you mentioned pluralistic.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. Different thoughts, different worldviews, and all that. So, I just want you to be able to establish the fact that what we say here, what you're saying here, it's not just our worldview. No, it's actually a standard.
It's a standard.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's a standard because we can't stop people from having opinions. We can't stop people from trying to redefine stuff. But we have to also let them know that it's a fruitless effort to try and redefine. Like the example I gave about Onari being female. That's what people are trying to do. So when you have a society now, and we will do ourselves a big favor in Africa if we don't allow Western thoughts the liberal tendency, the quest for freedom in the Western world, to flow into our consciousness, right? We have something here, by virtue of my work. I've been in different cultures, and I've seen something that's unique to all. Everyone, when we're in our right senses, we basically value the same thing. It's only when we're trying to look for something that doesn't exist, and in the name of civilization, some people want to belong to the general, it doesn't matter how many people are wrong, it's still wrong. When it comes to standards of how society is built, which is the family being the foundation, it doesn't matter who holds a contrary view, right? They're wrong. Because over the years, centuries, we've seen, today, anyone that enters into this world today has the entry point is a family. That's why we have names. So it's as basic as that. So, but we must not shy away from that scourge, from that. It is an existential threat, and each family needs to be alive to that. So what do we do? From the cradle, children should be taught, the right things, so that, because there will be times in their lives when they will hear things contrary to what they've been taught. But how profound is that thing that they have been taught? So they must be able to, see that what they have been taught from home is the original, right? It is the standard with which you measure every other thing that people are saying outside there. So we must never lose sight of what the family is. It's a union of man and woman with their children, over whom they have influence, over whom they have the responsibility, to educate, to train, to nurture, to love, and to mentor. If you go to a nation, if you go to Europe, maybe UK, for instance, there is a whole culture of knife crime, right? Of knife crime. It starts from home. Because at a time, there's a whole kind of culture that parents can't discipline their children, right? And then you're wondering why there is knife crime. It starts from there. The primary policeman of a child is the parent. But when you create a kind of a culture where the parent shouts on the child and the child calls the police to come and arrest the parent, then it's gonna, it's not gonna. And we know that the whole world struggles with this thing now. But that's what's happening out there in our own culture, where we don't have a police to call. What are we doing? But they can have those kind of things, because through television, through all those kind of things, they can begin to build. So we have a television to contend with. We have the radio to contend with. We have books to contend, because those are entry points of another kind of value system. So parents need to be alive to their responsibilities.
Okay, we've run out of time on this episode, but this is so key for everyone listening. So that is where we'll continue. We'll continue right from this point next week. So keep a date with us on Answers with Dr. Reju. Join us again on Answers with Dr. Reju, where critical life issues are clarified.